Introduction to the Parables of Jesus, History and Gospel Sources, Part 1. When we consider the subject of the parables of Jesus, it is best to begin by providing a bigger context in which the study of these parables makes sense. Obviously, the study of parables is part of the larger study of the New Testament Gospels, which in turn is a sub-discipline of the larger field of early Christian studies. This is a good overall perspective. However, in my opinion, parable study is probably best understood as part of the quest for the historical Jesus. By this, I mean the attempt to understand Jesus and his message as he and it would have appeared to his contemporaries, particularly in first century Galilee, a Roman client kingdom. In this way, we approach the parables as surviving representative fragments of the larger body of Jesus' teaching. This may sound like a pretty good approach. After all, it is widely recognized that three of the things that we can say with the highest degree of certitude about Jesus' historical ministry are, number one, that Jesus preached about the kingdom of God, number two, that Jesus had a reputation as a wonder worker, and three, that he was known as a teller of parables. In this approach, the parables, as a distinctive body of sayings and stories springing from Jesus, can give us a unique window into his thought. Yet it is important to stress here that this approach does not meet with the approval of all New Testament scholars. There are a number of scholars who would question if the gospel parables as we now have them can tell us much about the actual historical situation of Jesus' ministry. Rather, they suggest that these parables, embedded as they are in the various canonical gospels, and for that matter, other early Christian texts, have been reshaped by the early Christian authors so as to serve the needs of the early Christian communities. In this way of thinking, the parables as they appear in the Gospels tell us more about what the authors of those Gospels felt was needed by their early Christian communities than about Jesus' ministry. Over the course of the following lectures, we will explore the ideas of a variety of scholars who advocate one or the other of these positions, and still others whose writings would place them somewhere in between. As with most things in life, the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. The parables surely reveals something about Jesus' message, and at the same time, the gospel writers have clearly put them to work in service of their very own specific pastoral needs. More will be said about this later. For now, let us begin our study by addressing the question of historicity as it relates to the ancient world in general and to the Gospels in particular. Now, the average person who reads the New Testament Gospels reads them as if they were history books. They are not history books. Well, certainly not in any modern 21st century sense of that term. This is not to say that they are not historical. The Gospels most assuredly have plenty of historically accurate material within their pages. Rather, I'm stating that the Gospels cannot be treated as if they were transcriptions of Jesus' preaching, detailed blow-by-blow accounts of his miracles, or court records of his trial and execution. They quite simply are not these things, nor were they ever intended to be these things by their authors.